In today's video, I'll be showing you how to draft and cut this beautiful classic silk A-line dress. You can see that this dress has slit at the bottom. Also, it has buttons, and you can see it has like a corset kind of cut from the underbust. It also has lace sleeves. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. This is Sew with Oma. If you're seeing my video for the first time, you're welcome, and if you subscribe to my channel, thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, kindly subscribe now because you'll be getting sewing content like this. Without wasting much time, let's dive into today's video. For the measurements, we'll be needing a vertical and circumference measurements. For me, my vertical measurements are my bust point, my underbust point, my waist point, and my gown length. My horizontal or circumference measurements are my shoulder bust span, my bust measurement, my waist measurement, my hip measurement. This pattern drafting has 3 sections. It has the top, which is from the shoulder down to the underbust. It also has from the underbust to the waist, and also the waist to the length of the dress. The 3 sections is just for the front. At the back, you only need 2 cuttings, and it will be the half length at the top and the half length at the bottom. The half length at the top is the one from the shoulder to your waist, and the half length at the bottom is the one from your waist to the length of the dress. Starting from the waist to the length of the dress, and that's the skirt part. We'll be starting with the front, and the first thing I did was to place my pattern paper on fold, and then I marked my baseline, which will serve as a starting point. I minus 16 inches, which is from my shoulder to my waist, and then just started from the 16 inches to get my length, that's the length of the skirt. The next thing you want to do now is to get all your vertical point measurements, and I started with the length. After marking my length point, I also marked 2 inches for my seam allowance, and then I marked my hip point measurement. Rule the line across. The next thing I did was to take my measurement, my circumference measurement. I started with my waist measurement divided by 4, my hip measurement divided by 4, and for my length, I took my hip measurement divided by 4 plus 4 inches. So my hip measurement is 46. Divided by 4, I would have about 11.5, that's 11.5 inches. So when I add 4 inches to the 11.5 inches, I would have 15.5 inches, and so I just marked it there. And then the next thing I did was to get my curved ruler and rule the curved line from the waist point to the hip. And then from the hip point, I just took my straight ruler and ruled a straight line across. To get the slit opening at the down part of the skirt, I measured my bust span, which is 8, and I divided by 2, which is 4 inches, and I marked it there. And then from the seam allowance, I marked up about 6 inches. I initially marked 6.5, but I later changed it to 6 inches. And from that point there, I also took my bust span measurement divided by 2 already, which is 4 inches, and then I just ruled a straight line across. You can choose to make your slits higher than 6 inches or 6.5 inches. You can make it up to 8 depending on how open you want your slits to be. And the next thing I did was just to cut out and also cut out the allowance to ensure that when I fold it in, it doesn't have like an excess at the side coming out. I just joined the lines to the other side of the skirt. After cutting and opening a slit, this is what the front skirt looks like. To draft the back, you really don't need any pattern paper or to draft the back at all. The only thing you need to do is when you're cutting on the fabric, using your front pattern paper, all you just need to do is to add your 1-inch seam allowance and cut like so. And now the next thing we're going to do is to cut out our sleeve, and just like you see me doing, I marked my baseline, which will serve as my starting point, and from there I'm going to measure my sleeve length, and I'm going to mark it like that. It's a long sleeve. After marking my sleeve, I also added 2 inches on my hemming allowance, and I just ruled a straight line across the points, and then I named it my sleeve length and my hemming allowance, or my allowance. From the top of the sleeve, that's from the baseline, I'm going to mark 4 inches down. I'm going to roll a line across, and this will serve as a armhole deepening. So from the edge of the pattern paper, I also marked 3 inches, and I'm going to mark all these points down to the hemming allowance of the sleeve. After marking on my points, the next thing is to roll a line across, and from the hemming allowance, that's from the length of the sleeve, I'm going to mark 10 inches up, and at the other side I'm going to do the same thing and mark 10 inches up. Then from the 3 inches line that I rolled, I'm going to mark my round sleeve divided by 2, which is 7 inches, and then at the top I'm also going to form my armhole curve. I'm connecting it down to the 4 inches point that I made. That is going to be where the armhole joining is going to stop. After doing that, the next thing I did was to get my straight ruler and to rule a slanted line across. So I'm going to rule a slanted line from the point where the armhole stopped to the round sleeve that I divided by 2, that's the 7 inches, and that will stop at that 10 inches that I took up. I hope you understand. And so from there I'm going to form a flay from that 10 inches. So I ruled a slanted line from that armhole point down to the 7 inches, and then I also formed my flay from the 3 inches line that I marked. I also formed my flay from that 10 inches point that I marked on the 3 inches line that I ruled earlier. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. If you watch the video, you're going to get everything. After getting your flay, on the other side where I marked the 3 inches line, while I was cutting, I left about half an inch for joining. Remember, this sleeve is not on fold. When you want to cut on your fabric, you have to place it on fold and then cut out like so. After cutting, you need to join the sleeve. After cutting on your fabric, it will no longer be one, it will be 2 pieces for one sleeve that you need to join. So the half inches is what you're going to use. I did not show you how I got my armhole width. I added 2 inches to my round sleeve to get the armhole width. And so what I did there was I just marked 7 inches, which is my round sleeve divided by 2, and then I added 2 inches. That is all about the sleeve. The next thing we want to do is to cut our remaining half point, which is from our shoulder down to our waist point. And as you can see, I'm already ruling lines for the starting point, that's our baseline, on the center front and on the shoulder. And so from our baseline, I marked all my vertical points, my bust point, my under bust, and my waist, and I also named accordingly. Next thing I did was to get my shoulder, and I marked it like so. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2, 7.5. And then from the point I marked, I took down 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and then I took 3 inches as my neck width, and then I just connected the 1 inch shoulder slope to the 3 inches point I connected for my neck. And then from that 1 inch shoulder slope, I took 7.5 inches and I ruled a line across. This will serve as my chest point on my chest line. So how I get my chest line, I just take my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then after ruling the 1 inch shoulder slope, that is when I'm now going to mark out the 7.5 inches. And so after doing that, I just ruled a straight line across to the chest line so that I can get my armhole. And so from that line, I put my tape there and also divided into 2 equal halves and put a point in the middle, and from the point in the middle I marked half an inch in, and then from the chest line I then marked my bust measurement divided by 4. After marking the point, I used my curve ruler to connect all the points together to form the armhole. As soon as we're done connecting the armhole, the next thing I did was to mark my waist circumference measurement divided by 4. And after getting the point, I just connected from the chest line, that's where I marked my bust measurement, down to the waist. After that is done, the next thing I did was to mark 1 inch from the chest line up to get a neck depth, and I connected with my ruler from the neck width down to the place I marked as my neck depth. We'll be drafting a bust dart, not the regular side dart, and so on my bust point line I just marked my apex measurement, which is my bust span measurement divided by 2, and that is 4 inches. On the side front at the bust line, I went down by 2 inches and I just connected to the bust points that I already created. We'll be cutting and taping it down. We'll not be using the bust, we'll not be sewing on the bust dart, if you get what I mean. The next thing I did was just to cut out the pattern paper to get the actual thing that we've already drafted. After cutting it out, the next thing I'm going to do is to open up our bust dart, but before taping this dart down, I'm going to mark about 1 inch from my under bust, and I'll use the curved ruler to connect from the neck depth, that's my neck depth, down to the under bust. This is going to serve as the corset illusion that the dress is going to have, and so I'm just going to cut out. Now it's time to tape down our bust dart using our paper tape. You can use a pin, that is if you do not have a paper tape. Next thing we're going to do now is on our shoulder, we're going to indicate our midpoint and then mark it like so. And then we're also going to indicate where our bust pan measurement is. That's our bust nipple to nipple divided by 2. And we're just going to roll a straight line across. You take your straight ruler and then you just indicate 1 inch. You don't want to open up too much so that the pleating is not too much. And then it disfigures the beauty of the under bust pleat. So we're just going to use 1 inch as the opening, and then we'll roll this slanted line like we're marking that when we're making our skirt. After connecting all your lines, the next thing we're going to do is to slash. And when you're slashing, ensure you do not slash all the way to your shoulder. I mean, you do not cut out your shoulder. You just want to slash to a point where you can just spread and you still have your shoulder connected together. As soon as you're done slashing, the next thing you're going to do is to either cut this on your fabric or get another pattern paper, spread the initial one that you've slashed, that's the one you made the slash and spread method on, and then just place it on a new pattern paper or on your fabric. Open up as you would like it to be opened. You can use 1 inch or you can use as much as 1.5 inches depending on the bust size of the person. And after cutting out, this is what it looks like. I'm just trying to pleat it to show you exactly what it will look like on your fabric or on your clothes. After drafting your front pattern, the next thing we are going to do is to draft our half length at our back. And so you're just going to roll the baseline just like you did for the front. From the center back, you're going to mark 1 inch, which is going to serve as your zipper. As soon as you get your zipper allowance, the next thing you're going to do is to start with your vertical measurement. And just like the front, I took my bust point, my under bust, and my waist, and then I just rolled the line across. Now from our zipper allowance line, we're going to mark our 7.5 inches for our shoulder, 3 inches as our neck width, 1 inch as the neck depth. You can make it lower than 1 inch for about 2 inches or 1.5. And then I also took my 1 inch shoulder slope and connected with my 3 inches neck width, and so I also connected my neck points together. The next thing I did was to get my chest line, and so from the shoulder slope I marked my 7.5 inches and just rolled the line across, and then I named it accordingly. So from the zipper allowance I marked 7.5 inches outward just to roll my straight line, and then I just connected. I just got my midpoint from the line, took 1/2 inch in, took my bust measurement on my chest line divided by 4, and then connected the armhole, and then took on my length, I took my waist measurement divided by 4 and just connected like so. The next thing I want to do is to get our dart. And so I took my bust pan from my zipper allowance, about 4 inches, that's my nipple to nipple, divided by 2. And then on the length, I marked 1/2 inch on both sides, and I just connected with a slanted line using my ruler. On the neckline, I rolled a straight line to connect to the zipper so I don't make a mistake when I'm cutting out. And now we want to get our zipper dart. This is to prevent zip bulging out after we're done sewing or fixing our zipper. And so from my length, I'm just going to mark out 1/2 inch. On the under bust too, I'm going to mark out 1/2 inch. And on the bust point, I'm going to mark about 1/2 inch. During this period when I was trying to get my zipper dart, my camera stopped recording and I did not realize it until I was done cutting out on the back, but I'm going to show you what it looked like. So you can see that I measured 1/2 inch on the length, on the under bust, on the bust point, and so I'm just going to place my ruler, my straight ruler, in a slanted line from that point, and then at the top I'm going to open up my ruler so that it is not up to 1/2 inch. I'm going to leave it at the 1 inch which I took already from the beginning. So from the length, the under bust, the bust point is going to be like 1/2 inch, and as soon as I'm going up, it's going to be 1 inch wide. That is basically all that you missed in the video, but that is not a big deal because I've just explained. So after that was done, I just cut out, and this is all about this pattern drafting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it very impactful. If you learned 1 or 2 from this video, let me know in the comment section, and if you have any question, do not also hesitate to leave it in the comment section. Thank you so much. Please subscribe, like this video, share this video to as many people that may be interested in this pattern drafting. In this channel you'll be getting a lot of pattern drafting videos and sewing tutorials. Thank you so much for watching. Till we see you in our next video. Bye.